Hello students, welcome to UPSC Ocean Current Affairs Analysis. So dated 9th July Hindu newspaper. So in this class we discuss these important articles from the current affairs. So Trump declares end to truce but says he will let stock go on. India and Indonesia launch joint restoration project at iconic Parambanan temple. Only 42% rise in female enrollment in higher education since 2014. WHO flags growing inequities in access to cancer treatment, and checkbox caste, an open-ended method of counting caste, may not yield usable data. And DRDO conducts a successful flight test of Pinaka long-range guided rocket. Okay, students, these are the important articles we will be discussing in this today's class. Okay, so let's see the first article. So Trump declares end to truce but says he will let stocks go on. So this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of international relations of GS2 and India and West Asia and some important international agreements, and also the GS3 we will be linking with internal security and energy security. Okay, so this article talks about the renewed tensions between the United States and Iran. Although there were a ceasefire and talks were going on, US President Donald Trump has now said that the ceasefire is practically over. However, he also said that negotiations can continue if both sides want. So the situation remains very uncertain. Let's see what exactly happened. So according to this particular article, the United States carried out airstrikes in the southern Iran, and Iran also says that 8 of its military personnel were killed and several military facilities were attacked. In response, Iran claimed that it targeted 85 US military assets in the Persian Gulf region. So tensions between the two countries have increased again. Okay, so we know that Iran and US had earlier signed a memorandum of understanding to extend the ceasefire and continue the negotiations. But after the recent attacks, Iran says that the agreement has become ineffective. In simple words, if you can say that, Iran believes that the understanding between the two countries has broken down. So whenever there is a conflict in West Asia, the entire world becomes worried because the region is extremely important for the global oil supplies, and even for the energy security and for the international trade Okay, so West Asia is important because of all these things. So this particular article also mentions about the Strait of Hormuz. Very, very important. Please look at the location of the strait, and also please comment the list of straits in the world. This is a very important UPSC favorite theme. The last year also UPSC has asked about the question regarding a Strait of Hormuz in the prelims. So please look at the list of straits in the world and please try to comment it. If you comment and if you search and try to comment in the no, it becomes a long-term memory. So please try to comment whenever I ask things. Whenever I ask you to locate the locations, please go and search in the Google or in the any AI. Okay, so that is going to be very much helpful in your memory. Okay. So the Strait of Hormuz is a narrow sea passage which connects between Iran and Oman. This one especially connects the Persian Gulf with the Arabian Sea. Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman with the Arabian Sea. Okay. So a large share of the world's oil and LNG passes through this route. So that is why it is called as the world's most important energy choke points. So whenever tensions rise between this Iran and US, investors fear like disruption of oil supplies, increase in the crude oil prices, global inflation is going to be happen, economic uncertainty is going to be happen. So because of these fears, stock markets also reach negatively, and the article says that the Sensex and Nifty fell by around 2%, and India imports around 85% of its crude oil requirements from this West Asia. A major portion of this oil comes from this West Asia. So any stability in this particular region can affect India through the higher oil prices, increased import bill, even the higher inflation, and also the pressure on the rupee is going to be happening, higher transportation cost also. So therefore peace in West Asia is directly linked to the India's energy security and economic stability. So India follows a dialogue and diplomacy the peaceful resolution of conflicts and strategic autonomy. So India maintains a good relation with the United States, Iran, and even with the Gulf countries. So therefore India prefers stability and negotiations instead of the military escalations. Okay, students, the main takeaways from this particular article, you can say, the situation shows that even when a ceasefires and agreements are signed, peace remains fragile, right? So a single military actions can quickly bring back the tension. So, and because of the globalization, a conflict in one region can affect the economies around the world. So that is why this particular article is important. Okay, we know that this issue is happening from so many days, right? See, let's have a quick revise notes. So if you're maintaining any current affairs notes, you can add this particular notes in your notes also. Okay. So let's see. US-Iran tensions and Strait of Hormuz. Trump declared that Iran-US ceasefire effectively overthrew talks may continue. Iran termed the existing MOU ineffective. Strait of Hormuz carries nearly 20% of the global oil trade. West Asia tensions directly impact the India's energy security and as well as the inflation. Okay. So let's see the next article. India and Indonesia launch joint restoration project at iconic Parambanan temple. Okay, so this particular article can link with the international relations and the culture, art and architecture of the UPSC syllabus and also under the UNESCO's World Heritage Site also. Okay, so here the article brings some very positive news about the India's education, about the Parambanan temple, right? Because here the article is mainly saying about this particular temple is under the UNESCO's World Heritage Site. UNESCO's World Heritage Site, and this is the largest Hindu temple in the Indonesia. Hindu temple, and this is of the three gods, God Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Okay. So it reminds there is a cultural ties between India and Indonesia from the very past. This particular article is important because from the very long time Indonesia is the world's largest Muslim population, but still it has the roots of Hinduism through Ramayana, and we in the last class also we discussed about this particular article. Okay. So again the same thing, not so important, but just see the location of this Paramban temple. So please visit YouTube videos where you can see about this Parambanan temple, and also please watch them. It will be very interesting. Okay. See here, India and Indonesia launched a joint restoration project at Parambanan Temple, Indonesia, and Parambanan is a UNESCO's World Heritage Site and the largest Hindu temple complex in Indonesia. And the Archaeological Survey, Archaeological Survey of India is the leading Indian agency in this perspective. Here it shows that India's cultural diplomacy and soft power. Okay, let's go for the next article. So the next article is over 42% rise in female enrollment in higher education since 2014 according to a report. So this particular article can link with the UPSC syllabus of women empowerment, education, and even the social justice concepts of UPSC syllabus. Here the article brings some very positive news about the India's education sector, and the report is saying that female enrollment in higher education has increased by more than 42% since 2014. So this means that today more girls and women are entering the colleges and universities than ever before, and this is a major achievement for India. So first of all, let us understand what is a higher education. So students, higher education means education after the class 12, which includes colleges, universities, engineering institutions, medical colleges, even the research institutions. Here what the report is saying, according to the report is AISHE. This is a report. This is a All India Survey on Higher Education. So according to this particular report, the total student enrollment in 2014 to 2015 is 3.42 crores. In 2023 to 2024, it is 4.50 crore. That means there is an increase, right? So this is an increase of 31.5%, and even the female enrollment in 2014 and 15 is 1.57 crore, and in 2023 to 24 it is 2.24 crore. So this is an increase of 42.2%. So this is the biggest highlight of this particular AISHE report. Okay, for many years women had lower participation in higher education due to the social barriers, economic problems, even due to the early marriage and lack of access to colleges. So but now the situation is improving. More girls are completing the schools and moving to the colleges and universities, and this is a positive sign for gender equality, women empowerment, and even the economic development. And the report also talking about these the report also talking about the GER. So GER is the gross enrollment ratio, which measures the percentage of the people in the official age group who are enrolled in the higher education. Here the India's overall GER increased from 23.7 to 30.0%. Okay. So this means that out of every 100 young people in 18 to 23 age group, around 30 are pursuing the higher education. Okay, so this is even more impressive that female GER is 31.1%. Female GER is 31.2%, which is actually higher than the national average of 30.0%. So this means women are now participating in higher education at a higher rate than the overall average. Okay, another important indicator in this particular article is talking about the gender parity index, which is called as GPI. Gender parity index. Okay, so the report says the GPI is 1.08%. What does this mean is, like, if GPI is equal to 1, no, boys and girls participate equally. If it is greater than 1, female participation is higher. So here now the GPI is what? It is 1.08, right? So women are slightly outnumbering men in higher education enrollment. So this is a significant achievement to India. And the report also shows improvement among the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and even the other backward classes. Okay, so and the report also talking about the STEM educations. STEM educations means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Traditionally, women were represented in the STEM fields, but the report says that STEM enrollments were reached to 1.02 crore students, and female share in the STEM also increased to 44% compared to 38.4% a decade ago. So this is a very positive trend, and future jobs will increasingly depend on the artificial intelligence, semiconductors, data science, robotics, and technology. So the more women in a STEM means more innovation, more skilled workforce, and better economic growth. Okay, so India is not just increasing the number of students in the colleges, it is also making a higher education more inclusive, more gender balanced, more accessible to the marginalized community. So this directly contributes to the human capital formation. Okay, so then why this is important for India? So because India's biggest strength is a youth population, right? So to convert this population into a demographic dividend, we need education, we need skills, we need higher participation of women, right? So this report shows that India is moving in that particular direction. So this particular topic can be used in GS paper 2, GS paper 3, and as well as essay of the UPSC syllabus. Okay, so let's see the quick revision of this particular one. See, female enrollment in higher education increased by 42.2% since 2014 to 15, and total enrollment reached 4.5 crore in 2023 to 2024, and the female GER gross enrollment ratio increased to 31.2%, and the gender parity index stands at 1.8%, indicating the higher female participation. Okay, so this is a female literacy of different states in India. Okay, so let's see the next article. So the next article is talking about who flags growing inequities in access to the cancer treatment. So this particular article can link with the health issues relating to the development and management, universal health coverage, and the human development of the UPSC syllabus. Okay, so this particular article talks about a very serious issue. Here the WHO, World Health Organization, says that there are huge inequalities in access to cancer treatment in the across the world. Like whenever a person survives, cancer often depends on where they live. how much money they have, right? So this is a main concern highlighting in this particular report. So first of all, let us understand how serious is cancer globally. So cancer is now the second leading cause of death in the world after the cardiovascular diseases. The report says around 20.6 million new cancer cases occurs every year, and nearly 10 million people die from the cancer annually. So these numbers are extremely huge, and will the burden increase further? Means yes. According to the report, without major action, annual cancer cases may increase to nearly 35 million. Nearly 35 million cases by 2050, which is very huge, right? So this means the global cancer burden is expected to rise sharply. So the biggest concern here is the inequality in access to the cancer treatment. So there are huge differences between the rich and the poor countries. For example, the breast cancer survival rates, if you compare, no, the higher income countries, around 87% of women survive after the 5 years, whereas if you compare it with the lower income countries, only around 42% will survive. So this shows that access to healthcare can determine the survival, right? So many poor countries lack this early diagnosis facilities, cancer treatment centers, trained doctors, and even the affordable medicines and supportive care system. So as a result, many people do not receive this proper treatment. So cancer is not just only a health problem, but it is also a financial problem. The WHO survey found that at least 45% of affected people face this financial hardship. More than half experiences the mental health challenges, and caregivers also suffer stress and social isolation. So in many families, cancer treatment pushes people into the poverty. So here, then another important finding here, the article is talking about the universal health coverage. Universal health coverage. Okay. UHC. UHC. So, only in the 3 countries currently including the cancer care under their universal health coverage packages. This means millions of people have to pay from their own pockets for the treatments. Here UHC means everyone should receive the quality healthcare services without suffering the financial hardships. So the idea is people should not become poor because they are sick, right? So WHO says that cancer survival should never depend on where a person is born or how much money they earn. This means access to healthcare should be based on the need, not on the income. So also the report is saying that Asia accounts for more than 50% of the global cancer cases and around the 56% of global cancer deaths. So this is mainly because Asia has a very large population, and even many African countries have low incidence of cancers but much higher mortality rates. So because access to healthcare and treatment facilities is limited there, right? So then why this is important for India is because India is also witnessing a rise in cancer cases, lifestyle diseases, particularly the non-communicable diseases. So therefore India needs this better screening, early diagnosis, affordable treatment, and also the stronger health infrastructure and universal health coverage. Okay. And so here the main message of this particular article is about cancer is not just a medical issue, it is also an issue of equality, social justice, economic security, and the human development. So no one should lose their life simply because they are poor or live in an underserved area. Okay, so this is the main aim of this particular article. Okay, let's see the quick revision of this particular article. Yes. So cancer cases nearly 10 million deaths annually. The worldwide new cancer case may reach us to 35 million by 2050 according to WHO's report, and major inequalities exist in access to diagnosis and treatment, and WHO stresses the need for universal health coverage and affordable cancer care. So this is an inequity in our backyard. Okay. So let's see the next article. The next one is a checkbox cast. An open method for counting caste may not yield usable data. So this particular article can link with the census in India, social justice, and as well as an Indian society, welfare schemes, caste and social justice of this particular UPSC syllabus. Okay. So the article is talking about an important issue. How should India count caste in the census? The government is conducting, we know, census 2027, right? So a pre-test And one of the key features is an open column for the caste. Open column. Open column for the caste. So that means instead of choosing a caste from a ready-made list, people can simply tell their caste name and the enumerator will record it. But why this is becoming a debate here, it is because India has tried something similar before, especially in the 2011, socio-economic and caste census (SECC). People were also allowed to freely mention their caste. So the result, it creates a huge problem because the government received more than 46 lakh caste names. But in 1931 census, which was the last census that properly counted the caste, were only about in 1931 census, it is only 4,147 caste names. Why such a huge difference is because people entered surnames, clan names, subcaste, different spellings and the local names. As a result, the data become a very confusing and difficult to use. Experts fear that if an open-ended method is used again, India may once again get the inconsistent data, duplicate caste names and also unusable information. So the article says that the census pre-test may prove this problem again. So the article suggesting a better method. Instead of an open column, the census could use a preloaded digital list of caste, and subcaste. Here the enumerator can then choose the correct entry after asking the respondent. So there may still be some mistakes, but the data will be much cleaner and more useful. Okay. So here this is a very important question, is about the Indian's constitution wants social justice, equality and also the elimination of discrimination. So to achieve these goals, the government need accurate information about the different communities, the social conditions, representations and even the backwardness. So without data, it becomes difficult to design the welfare policies. So then why do some people oppose this caste enumeration? Is because caste is not like age, religion, language or a gender. Caste is often based on a social identity and people's perception, right? Some people fear that counting caste may strengthen a caste identities, increase the caste politics, even deepen the social divisions. So in simple words, they worry that counting caste may actually make a caste consciousness stronger. So then here the favor of the caste data argument is about you cannot some favors they are talking like you cannot solve a problem if you don't have a data about it. So proper caste data can help in better welfare policing, reservation policies, identifying the creamy layer and even studying inequalities, understanding which communities are benefiting and which are left behind. So these are the two extremes of this debate, and the article is not saying the caste should never be counted. It is saying that if caste is counted, it should be counted properly and scientifically. An open-ended method may create a poor quality data, and the better data collection is important or necessary. So this particular is important for UPSC because of the census, social justice, reservation, welfare policies. In this perspective, we can study this particular article. Okay. So let's see the quick revision notes. Yes, Census 2027 is testing methods for caste enumeration. Open-ended response may lead to inaccurate and unusable data. SEC 2011 generate 46 lakh caste names, creating a data inconsistency. And the standardized digital list can improve data quality and welfare targeting. Okay. So, okay, students, let's see the next article. I think this is the last article of this today's class. Okay, let's see. DRDO conducts a successful flight test of Pinaka rocket. Yes, this particular article can link with the defense of the UPSC syllabus, defense technology, indigenization of defense production, internal security and defense preparedness. Okay. Even in the essays also, we can write under the Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense. In these perspectives, you can use this as a case study or an example. Okay, this article is about India's indigenous rocket system called the Pinaka. Okay. So recently, the DRDO successfully tested this Pinaka long-range guided rocket from the integrated test train Chandipur, Odisha. This is another important achievement for India's defense sector. It is from Odisha, it has been tested. So Pinaka is an indigenous multi-barrel rocket launch system developed by DRDO. It is a multi-barrel rocket launcher system, multi-barrel rocket launcher system, which is developed by DRDO. So, simply speaking, it is a weapon system that can fire multiple rockets within a very short time and hit enemy targets from the long distances. And it is mainly used by the Indian Army. Then what happens in this latest test here? It is the DRDO tested a long range guided version of this Pinaka rocket, and the rocket successfully completed the all planned maneuvers and followed its predicted path, and also hit the target with a high precision, and also validated its minimum strike range of 60 kilometers. And this means the system is highly accurate and reliable. And then the modern warfare is not only about having a powerful weapons, right? So it is also about having a precision guided weapons, and the new Pinaka rocket can hit targets accurately, destroy the enemy position from the long distance, reduce the collateral damage, increase the operational capability of the Indian Army. So the rocket was launched from an in-service Pinaka launcher. This means the same launcher can fire different variants of Pinaka rockets and different range of rockets. This gives the army a greater operational flexibility. And for many years, India depended on imported rocket system, but now India is developing its own advanced weapon systems. So this particular Pinaka is an example of Make in India in defense. So Make in India in defense, and also Atmanirbhar Bharat, and also for the indigenous defense manufacturing. It reduces the dependency on foreign countries and also strengthen the national security. We also said this particular one is developed by DRDO. DRDO stands for Defense Research and Development Organization. It is India's premier defense research agency, and its objective is to develop the advanced defense technologies for the armed forces. And DRDO has developed many important systems such as Agni missiles, Akash missile systems, Astra missiles, even the Pinaka rocket systems also. Okay students, this particular topic can be asked under the GS3, defense technology, indigenization of defense production, and also national security. Under this angle you can study this particular article. Okay, let's see the quick revision of this. Yes. So DRDO tested the Pinaka long-range guided rocket at ITR Chandipur, Odisha. So this is a Pinaka one which has been tested there, and the rocket validated the minimum strike range of 60 kilometers, and Pinaka is an indigenous multi-barrel rocket launcher system, strengthen India's Atmanirbhar Bharat and defense capabilities. Okay. So, okay students, these are the important articles from the today's current affairs class. Hope you like this class. So, thank you for watching and all the best.